welcome to the Plush Robot Podcast. My name is Zack, and let's go ahead and KO this thing. I know it has been a really long time since the last episode. I know it's probably been over a month because I've honestly lacked the mental focus and motivation to do another episode, mainly because of the situation that the world is in right now with COVID-19, aka the coronavirus. It just happened, one day I'm working at my job, and then I came back from doing another theater show, and then the next thing I know, everything's being shut down, everything's being closed, people are getting sick. It's a very worrying and scary time, but, we're all going to pull through it, and, eventually things will slowly but surely get back to, I don't want to say get back to normal, but hopefully we get back to, functioning in this world very soon. But as far as my well-being, I'm doing okay. I've been just trying to deal with what I can with trying to just get through this day by day, play some games on Nintendo Switch, make some Purple Dolphin music, which I have a mixtape coming out pretty soon. Just got to record the vocals, called Pure Anxiety, going to be coming out. And thankfully, both of my two jobs are secure. My theater job at Gallo and my other weekly job, which I'm not going to name the company, but it is a big outdoor retail chain. So my position is secure. It's not going anywhere. But yeah, I had to push back a lot of things. I had to push back my car payment and push back my credit card payment. And recently I had to file for unemployment just as a security blanket so I can at least pay some future bills and push back if I need to keep doing that, because I don't know how long this is going to last. And I hope it ends soon because, being cooped up in your house for a while, you really start to feel like Robert Pattinson and Willem Dafoe in The Lighthouse, just slowly going mad until you just can't stand one another, which it hasn't gotten to that point, but, I still have my just stir-crazy moments from time to time, but you know what? Like I said, been taking everything day by day, just thinking a lot, and just trying to distract myself with whatever I can, because, having the news on like 24/7, especially in my living room, I know to keep us all updated and everything, but it's really hard to watch, especially seeing President Trump giving out all these briefings and everything. I know he's trying his best to provide security and safety, but let's be real, the guy was not prepared. I don't know, I won't go too much into detail about this, but it's like, dog, you were briefed about this since January. There were early reports in January coming in, and then when it really starts to hit in March, it's unfortunate because, and now, it's become a government nationwide thing to, stay indoors and, do this, stay 6 feet away from everybody, yada, yada, yada. But I also find it ironic because there was the recent protest that went on. Well, not just one protest, there are many, but a lot of these people are going out being like, I want to play golf again, I need a haircut, usually, I won't delve too into this because, I don't want to get too much into politics, but, oh man, there's this one set of pictures that showed up on my Twitter timeline from this guy named Travis Wetzel. And he has a caption with an American flag and his ear pods in his ear. Time to spread some freedom on campus. And then He shares an article. Protesters are standing outside the governor's residence in order to protest the stay-at-home order. Check out the latest story of the protesters. I think this was in Kentucky, if I remember correctly. Yeah. So, yeah, they show up because they don't like the fact that they have to stay at home. And then later, he posts, well, I'm at 103.3 for temperature. Time for ice packs and to monitor this before I go to bed. Now I will quarantine for the next 14 days. And it's like, you totally brought that on yourself. Like, listen, I'm as antsy as anyone to get out of the house. And which I have. I mean, I walk around my neighborhood, I play Pokemon Go. But it's like, dude, if you want to risk your health for some silly, banal protest, it's like, oh, you're just silly. The Darwin Award goes to you, sir. It goes to all the people who are out there, going out there in these large crowds right now. It's like, dogs, stay at home, flatten the curve till things get better. Okay, I just found another great picture. It's a lady with an American flag tank top with a sign that says social distancing equals communism. Again, risking your health? Going out and protesting for the stupidest shit out there? Hell yeah, that's American, brother. But staying at home and not being stiff? Yes, rise up, comrades. Suka bliat. It's just jokes, people. But, oh my god, just... Again, people are stupid. And they're risking themselves getting sick. And, well, you really can't feel sorry for them. Because, like I said, they brought it upon themselves. Anyway, moving right along. So, I have been checking out a bunch of new music lately. And the one album I would love to talk about, let me pull up on my Spotify, is that new Weeknd album, After Hours. You know, The Weeknd, every release of his, like, ever since I got into him when he dropped The Beauty Behind Madness, was always great. And then Starboy came along, was awesome. My Dear Melancholy, because I checked out some of his older, like the first 3 EPs that he did, the moodier R&B that he was doing, and that was a nice return to form with My Dear Melancholy, especially songs like Call Out My Name, I Don't Want to Hurt You, Privilege. But After Hours, I mean, as soon as I saw the videos for Heartless and then eventually Blinding Lights, I knew Abel was taking us on some weird-ass journey, for sure. And I gotta say, this album, this is probably like the most diverse Weeknd album I've ever heard, because you get elements of trap in there with, like I said, Heartless, Hardest to Love. I mean, that's a straight-up, like, drum and bass song. Like, it's pop, but it's like, let's be real, that is like a full-on 175 BPM drum and bass song going on with Abel's lovely vocals. Too Late, I love the vocal melody and just all of the, like, I mean, he's using like auto-tune, but like it's really more than that. Like, he's adding all these weird, like, robot kind of chorusy effects on that song, and I really appreciate that. And then Blinding Lights, I mean, great. I mean, it's a pop hit now, especially on the radio, but like, that's like Weeknd finally like bringing synthwave to the mainstream. And listen, synthwave, you guys ever get a chance to listen to it, please do. Think of it like 80s music, but bring it in today. Especially if you're a fan of like movies like Kung Fury and all the like nostalgia revivalist, stuff that's been happening in the 2010s and even now to this day. But it's such a phenomenal album, and it's sort of a concept record because every song, on here is like the basic of it is like a guy trying to go after a girl, but he's spiraling out of control. Every single track, he's just getting more and more and more messed up until you get to the end of Until I Bleed Out, where it's like, oh no, he has done something to himself. And then the story ends until he recently put out a deluxe version, which unfortunately I didn't get to check out those bonus tracks. So they probably expand upon, his concept and everything. And I'm just going to go on a little tangent here. I love the way he looks during this era. Just the red suit and the hair and everything, his mustache and the glasses. And it's just like this weird, like, and I know, like, it's been mentioned that, like, the style of, like, the videos for Blinding Lights and Heartless were inspired by Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. One hell of a trippy movie with Johnny Depp and Benicio del Toro, if you haven't seen it. And a great way to get into the madman that is Hunter S. Thompson. And then also inspired by the new Joker movie, which I do see bits of that, but I also see a little bit of a kind of that old school Scorsese kind of look, kind of like a Casino, or a little bit of Goodfellas in there too. Just kind of the way he's dressed, and he looks all pristine, and looks like that if you come across him, he will do harm to you for sure. All right, the next two albums, and yes, I said two albums, I want to talk about are the two new Nine Inch Nails albums that dropped a little over a month ago. Ghosts 5 and 6, which Ghost 5 has the subtitle of Together, and Ghost 6 has the subtitle of Locusts. And when these dropped out of nowhere for free, I found out on Twitter when Trent Reznor put out a thing saying, here's some new Nine Inch Nails music we've been working on during this tough time, being the COVID-19 crisis that we're in right now. But, God, what a yin and yang of the two albums. So Ghost 5 Together, mostly just instrumental tracks, kind of like, which is the kind of the whole purpose of the Ghost series. If any of you who are familiar with Ghosts 1 through 4 would know that this is to be expected. But if you aren't, Ghosts 1 through 4 was an album released by Nine Inch Nails, which was a series of instrumental tracks that had a bunch of experimental instrumentation on it, and their usual heavy-hitting, industrial sound, and then some ambient pieces on there. Like, some of it ranges from being very soothing to very just harsh to very just almost very dark and creepy sounding. I love it very much. But if you guys get a chance, please go check out Ghosts 1 through 4, because it is a phenomenal album. But Ghosts 5, like, when I first listened to it, the whole idea of it is kind of like the calm before the storm with every one of the tracks. And you really feel that, and because it sounds almost positive and just uplifting, but there's always a sense of dread, especially if you're as someone as paranoid like me when it comes to, like, imagination or even like situational to something serious, like, this situation right now. But it's a very nice listen. But then as soon as you get to Ghost 6, that's the soundtrack of just the apocalypse just crashing down. It really is. It's the apocalypse coming. It's here. There's no way out. And it's such a stark contrast. And it's what an appropriate time to have both of these albums out. Because both Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross, I mean, now that Atticus has been added to Nine Inch Nails, he's really brought in a whole lot of, just really made Nine Inch Nails more than, I don't want to say more than they used to be, because Nine Inch Nails back in the day, they're still good. I mean, those old records, Downward Spiral, The Fragile, With Teeth, even like the Quake soundtrack, good stuff. But I don't know. I feel like with the addition of Atticus Ross, they Nine Inch Nails has become more dynamic and more. Um, there's more depth to their music now. Now, then again, I may be biased because I'm a big fan of them, but there's really nothing else you can say but just wow. Both of these albums were definitely worth it. They were worth my time, and Jesus Christ. It's perfect, really. It really is. But during this time, in this pandemic, I've also been accompanied by watching some trash reality TV, and one of those shows happens to be good old 90 Day Fiancé on TLC. Oh my goodness, this show. This goddamn show, ladies and gentlemen. So I'm watching the latest season of Before the 90 Days, which 90 Day Fiancé has a ton of spin-offs, like some where the Americans go to the other country. There's the regular 90 Day Fiancé where they're going through the K1 process. Before the 90 days is them sort of just figuring stuff out, but usually sometimes like 80% of the time it doesn't work out. Oh man, this season, and I'm glad people are starting to trash him now, but this guy who calls himself Big Ed, my dude who's got no neck, my dude goes to the Philippines to see this girl Rose, and you can just tell she is just disgusted with him. And yeah, and then as the episodes go on, because everyone was like, "Oh my goodness, I love Ed," and blah blah blah. Well, that's what they thought before, that he was just going to be this good guy. He's got everything. He's a photographer. You know, he's got a cute dog, whatever. Lives in San Diego. I mean, he's got it all. But then as the episodes go on, you could just see how much of a disrespectful POS that he is. You know, he constantly asking Rose about her Facebook friends, thinking that she's hooked up with them, and then asking her to take an STD test. But then she made it fair to be like, okay, you take one too. But then he's like, oh, I want to wait till I get to the States. And I'm like, what? And then this all happens like literally like the first like day. The first like couple days he's there. And then he like screws everything up, and it's just like, oh dude, you messed up big time. Oh my goodness. But what's really bugging me is now he's going on all these talk shows, like he was on Entertainment Tonight. Well, it's probably recorded a little bit before, but still, there's an interview with him on Entertainment Tonight, trying to boast how much of a good guy he is. And then he was also on the H3 podcast, which, I'm gonna be for real, I'm not a fan of the H3 podcast. I love old school H3 from back in the day, but not so much now. But, you know, again, he's still trying to be like, oh, well, I'm a good guy and blah, 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 blah. And it's just like, no. When people watch the show, they're going to show you literally look like a disrespectful jerk, especially going to, taking her out, and then you upset her, and then she didn't talk to you for like a single day. And then, oh God, when he goes to her town and meets her family, it's just like, he's just like, oh my God, I want to get out of here. Oh my God. It's like, dog, you signed up for this. Like, this is the love of your life. Or maybe you don't love her. Maybe you're using her for something else. I don't know. But yeah, I don't have any good feelings about Mr. Big Ed over there. And another couple on there on the latest season is Stephanie and Erica, which is, sort of kind of monumental because they're the first bisexual couple to go on there. So Stephanie, who is this YouTuber flies out to Australia to meet her girlfriend Erica, which she kind of looks like Kelly Osbourne, but because she's got this like pink and purple hair, it's the coolest looking. She's got some really good looks, and I like her style a lot. But then, everything's okay at first, and they go on a couple dates, and then after a while, you start to see that Stephanie really is the opposite of what she puts out on YouTube. And I've checked out her YouTube channel before. Very clickbaity, always got to show some cleavage in the thumbnail, and she's got to, she claims to be sex positive, but then when you see her on 90 Day Fiancé, she's very, very prudish and, doesn't want to be hand-holdy, doesn't want to be affectionate or anything. And I'm just like, wow, way to just be a complete opposite of what you really put out there. Like, I don't mean to shame, but it's like when you watch the show, especially this latest season, you see how much of just a bitch that she is. Or should I say BICTH? Like that Vine. But yeah. Oh, it gets even worse when the latest episode, which came on 2 days ago, where Erica takes Stephanie to a party to meet all her friends. And, Erica mentioned that, yeah, she's hooked up with a couple of her friends. And I'm pretty sure she said that she brought it up to Stephanie. And then what does Stephanie do but turns it into an entire interrogation? Like, she's literally interrogating this one guy, Adam, being like, do you still have feelings for Erica? And literally just grilling Erica, then grilling her friends, and then Erica leaves all upset, and then she walks in on a conversation that Erica's having, and Erica would not look at her whatsoever. Like, and I don't blame her. Listen, if I brought someone to a party and then they decided to just grill and just antagonize like my friends like that, like I'd get out of there. Point blank, period. It's just, there's no need for that kind of petty drama. And oh god. And then she goes away, and then she calls her friend on the phone. This is Stephanie I'm talking about, by the way. Calls her friend on the phone, and oh my god, her fake crying. There was not a single tear, but she was doing that voice, and oh my god. I'm like, okay, honey, stop with the crocodile tears. Oh, you have no emotion whatsoever. You are goddamn heartless. Go back to New York, please. And like I said, that's not going to work out. The thing is, like, yes, it's reality TV. Could it be scripted? Absolutely. But I can't get enough of it. And especially before the 90 days, that is just where it's train wreck after train wreck after train wreck. And another guy I'll talk about who's on the current season, David, who is the equivalent to Caesar from last season. So those of you who are not familiar with last season, so there was a guy named Caesar who had this Ukrainian girlfriend who was on this site called Anastasia Date, which allegedly they scam people, for money and everything, which no surprise. But he basically is sending her money, and then she sends these videos and photos, but doesn't say his name whatsoever. And then so he's trying to book a plane to Ukraine, but she's like, oh no, it's too cold. And then like, oh, just go to Mexico. Yeah, she tells him go to Mexico instead. So he goes to Mexico, books the plane ticket. The dude maxed out all his credit cards. And he's in Mexico. He's in the hotel room. And then his girlfriend, Maria, her name's Maria, by the way. Literally, she's like, "Oh, I don't want to go to Mexico. I'm tired. Maybe it's best if we're not in the relationship." And I'm just like, "Oh, Caesar, Caesar, Caesar." Oh, I. Oh. But anyway, this guy David, he is like Caesar 2.0. So he is going after this girl named Lana, who's also from the Ukraine. But the site he's using is even sketchier than whatever Caesar was using, because eventually on the tell all, which is kind of like the Bravo reunion equivalent to 90 Day Fiancé, in the tell all it did show that Maria was a real person, but she was just scamming Caesar for all of his money and everything. But Lana, like, there is literally like a photo and that's it. And then just chats from this sketchy website that looks like it was made in the early 2000s. But so with David, he has been in this relationship with Lana for 7 years. Keep that in mind. 7 years. And he went to the Ukraine 3 separate occasions, and she always had an excuse. Basically, first one was she had a medical operation, her brother died, and then I think another family member died, which, listen, Neve from Catfish, he gave us those rules that, listen, if they're given an excuse like a family member died or medical procedure, unless if it's like really serious and actually legit, but not something like, vague and whatever, then I can understand. But also the fact that they only communicate through text. That's it. He doesn't have her phone number, nothing. So yeah, he has gone to the Ukraine several times. Then he goes back to the Ukraine, trying to go on the train station, but this time there's zero excuse, and she doesn't show up. And then eventually he goes to the hotel again. He's upset, but then he gets a message back from Lana saying that, "Oh, do you want to have a meeting placed for the passport and visa?" Which, that seems like an automated response, whoever's typing that up. And then he goes to a restaurant. He orders some champagne. And he's just sitting there. And Lana said that she would meet him there at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. As soon as it... as soon as it said it was like 2:03, and then it was just like 3 o'clock, then 4 o'clock, it's like, David, she's not showing up. But he's like persistent. Like, he's straight up like the T-800 from the first Terminator movie, just trying to find Sarah Connor. Like, he's going around her supposed hometown, like asking everyone. And then it ends with like him going to a supposed address, which looks like some really rickety, like, Slavic projects up there. And then he eventually like finds her door or whatever, and we'll have to wait until the next episode to see what happens. But I don't know, that preview of that, like, of the next episode that they show afterwards, my man did not look happy. He looked pretty distraught, so we shall see. All right, that's going to be it for this episode of the Plush Robot Podcast. But little quick update. I recently changed my Twitter and Instagram handles. They are both now Fighting Type Zack, and they will be in the description of whichever platform you're listening to this episode right now. You can follow the podcast here on Podbean, Spotify, or subscribe to the YouTube channel to get updated whenever new episodes will come, and there will be a new episode this upcoming Sunday. So with that, thank you guys for joining in. This is Zach, signing off.